Good evening, YouTube. HeirofCarthage here. Just go ahead and start this, and before I forget, there's my logo down at the bottom right-hand corner. If you're enjoying the videos, make sure to subscribe for more content so you can keep up on everything I'm able to upload. Love making the content for you and appreciate all those who are enjoying it right now, and love all the comments and the fun we have. Also, again, just always thanking MSI for helping and having sponsored the build that I'm recording this on, and let's jump into it. So tonight I wanted to have a little bit of unit testing. I like throwing these in there with the online battles so that I can try and teach myself a little more about the game, and hopefully you all can teach me something, and maybe we can all learn something and just feel good and fuzzy. And no, I'm just kidding. Alright, so Dragon Ogres. I never hardly bring these guys to battle. They're so expensive. So 1800, they're anti-large. So this means that they should get a bonus. Like, so if we go into weapon string, let's take a look. Bonus versus large of 18, and they're doing 72 armor piercing damage. I mean, that all seems pretty significant. They don't have a whole lot of armor, but I want to try these guys out. So if they're anti-large and they do armor piercing, that would tell us that hopefully these guys are useful against cavalry. And for that kind of hefty price, we would expect them to defeat some pretty hefty cavalry. So I am curious to see whether or not they can do such a thing. Then you have the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, which is kind of like a slightly toned down version of Kolek Sun Eater, although this guy says he has even more hit points, but Kolek, yeah, he has more hit points than Kolek. But Kolek comes with abilities and stuff too, I guess. I don't know. So let's take a look at the weapon strength here and see. Yeah, he also has a bonus versus large. And that's huge armor piercing damage they're going to get from the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. So yeah, interesting. And then it has it's very fast. I mean, 78 speed. I mean, they are going to get around. Armor piercing that causes terror, so that can help rout enemy units unless they are immune to psychology. And it says that this scaly skin helps dampen or deflect the missile damage caused by missile weapons, increasing the unit's missile resistance. So if we go to melee defense, I wonder where it lists the block chance. I don't know where it lists the block chance on these ones. It may not list it in any of these stats. But in any case, let's test out a couple of these units. I'm going to throw a couple of tests up here. First, let's go with the Empire. And I'm going to start off easy. I'm going to get this Lord. We're going to take away all his abilities so that we don't have anything else like that. We're going to throw in a unit of Reiksguard. 2 of them, because I'm likely going to need 2 of them in order to get a legitimate result here. Just throw a Chaos Lord in here, and I'm going to do the same thing, so we'll just take away all his abilities. So, and then let's, why is everything with Chaos more expensive? Is the Chaos Lord any better than the one he cost 1,000? Nothing else? Alright, whatever. Let's throw couple Dragon Ogres. Now, these Dragon Ogres are substantially more cost than a Reiksguard, so I would hope that they're going to come in here and flatten a Reiksguard. It gives me quite the advantage up here. Let's find out. Reiksguard are intended to be anti-infantry, but due to their pretty massive charge bonus, they can do well against certain cavalry units, not all. But like a Reiksguard, for instance, would do quite well versus a Borbigen or something like that. So let's bring our Dragon Ogres in, and I'm going to split them up. We'll put our Chaos Lord right in the center, and hopefully we can tempt the AI into a proper engagement here. Should have deployed over here so we could get a better flat ground environment, but let's just see how this goes, and if I need to retest, I will. Dragon Ogres are, let's see, speed of 60, a little bit slower than a Reiksguard. We should get a nice clean engagement here, though, with the AI, so that'll be good. And I'll go keep the enemy Lord busy. Let's just, AI's not charging me, hold on. Now they're charging me, crap, dang it. So, yeah, the AI didn't charge me, and then I didn't charge. Well, I got the charge on them over here, and then they got the charge on me on this side. So let's just see how both turns out. I hate it when the AI does stuff like that. Where I got the charge, my Dragon Ogres appear to be beasting away the Reiksguard, and then over here where they got the charge, it started off a little more in their favor, but it appears that the Dragon Ogres are going to be pretty potent anti-cavalry here, I think. The question is, what happens when they end up against another unit that has an anti-large bonus, like a Blood Knight or a Demigryph with halberds? And we will certainly check that out. Chaos Lord probably costs more because right now at least he's hammering this dude. So with a favorable charge, absolutely crushes Reiksguard. And then without the favorable charge, still absolutely crushes Reiksguard. That's good. The cost of the Dragon Ogres is considerably more. And this is something that a Chaos player would want to keep in mind for helping to counter cavalry from the Empire. The problem is that for anything that Chaos can do well, Versus the Empire, it cost a lot more. And so anything they can do well, they have to do it with quite a lot fewer numbers. And some people I've seen making comments claim that that's really not that hard and that chaos is pretty good. I disagree. I haven't seen that yet being used. As soon as someone uses it against me effectively, I will believe it, but I'm struggling to believe it at the moment. I'm not saying I don't like playing as chaos and they don't have cool units that are good. They just don't stack up well when you consider the price that they go for. So like for instance, some people are like, yeah, like Chosen with great weapons, they absolutely destroy great swords. They do in like a one-on-one match, but they also cost substantially more, and I would take great swords any day of the week if given the option, because great swords are just so much cheaper, not to mention all the other options I have with the Empire to support them. So this is going to be against Demigryph Knights with halberds. And this time I actually want the AI to charge me. I'm about to jack up the charge. So these Demigryph Knights with halberds are coming straight at me. That's spectacular. Let's do the same thing here. So I should get a good clean charge with the Dragon Ogres, and the halberds will also get a good clean charge in both engagements, and I'll keep their lord from interfering. Demigryphs with halberds definitely won that charge, but a ton of damage coming from the Dragon Ogres. Dragon Ogres cost a pretty fair deal more. Don't you get in there and screw up this engagement, you dummy. You're so stupid. I hate you. Ugh. And then they disengaged over here. So I'm not going to get a good reading on that fight, and then they disengage. AI, really? It's rematched. Freaking stupid AI. Why would you disengage from a unit that you're sitting there and actually probably... I mean, the things the AI does sometimes are like halfway decent, and then other times you cannot facepalm enough. Who would program the AI to disengage from combat that you're winning? Did you see that? They were winning the combat, I believe, in both of them, and they disengaged, thus losing the combat. So there's little things like this with Total War that have always been a pretty major frustration. I'm going to pause it here. So I'm going to go ahead and get these charges. And I'm going to go ahead and get this charge too, hopefully, so I can interrupt their lord before he gets in and interrupts my fight. Look at this! So this one's not going to be a good gauge because they were trying to charge my lord. This one will be a pretty clean fight. So we're going to have to write this fight off over here because the Demigryph Knights aren't cooperating. But if this fight can continue without being interrupted... Nope, AI disengaged. It appears the Dragon Ogres are doing pretty well. It's just hard to tell exactly how the fight will turn off because the AI is... I mean, on the charge, the Demigryph Knights with halberds appear to be winning every time. But in a prolonged melee, it seems like the Dragon Ogres do very well. And I think that it would be a relatively close fight. So, I mean, that's interesting. The Demigryph Knights come with a ton more armor, so they're going to be a little more resistant to missiles. The Dragon Ogres are going to be a little more susceptible to missiles. But it looks like the Dragon Ogres put up a good fight. You would hope they would. They cost 300 more. They've got an anti-large bonus. They have very nice armor piercing. We'll look at the stats on the two units and kind of make a best judgment. The Demigryphs are going to have less hit points but more armor, and the Dragon Ogres are going to have less armor and more hit points. So like I said, when it comes to missile units, the Dragon Ogres are probably going to be more susceptible. But they appear to perform well. I can't get a good test out of the AI here, and I'm going to have to just try and find someone to help me test them one night. But I mean, let's just take a look, like I said, at the stats here. So we got Dragon Ogres, and the weapon strength is 100. Let's compare that real quick. It's only 56 weapon strength. And so the anti-large bonus is bigger on the Demigryph Knights, and I'm sure their charge bonus is more too. And the armor piercing damage, though, is way larger on the Dragon Ogres, and that comes in handy against stuff like Demigryphs and Reiksguard, because they have a lot of armor. So the Dragon Ogres are going to be dishing out huge armor, armor penetrating. They're going to lose on the charge because their charge bonus is lower. So that's definitely why we were seeing that. When it comes to melee defense, let's check it out. So 42 versus 32, so they're going to have more melee defense in the prolonged fight as well. Melee attacks at 34 for the Demigryphs and 34 for the Dragon Ogres, so relatively equal. But like I said, every hit coming from the Dragon Ogres is going to inflict considerably more damage. 9 models for the Dragon Ogres and 18 models for the Demigryphs with halberds. So keep in mind that even though their weapon damage is less, there are more of them in each unit. So twice as many, in fact. So it's going to be a pretty close fight, I think, between these units. I mean, when you look at the Hit point difference is pretty substantial, but that's because of the armor. So the armor is going to be providing quite a bit of experience. So 70 leadership here. Speed is much higher for the Demigryph Knights with halberds, so that's something to keep in mind too. Demigryph Knights are pretty quick for a heavy cavalry. Let's take a look at the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. I'm not exactly sure what I want to test this guy against, but I'm thinking probably a monster, for instance. So let's go with greenskins, and we'll just grab an Orc War Boss with no special abilities, and let's get a spider over here and see what happens. We'll see if we can get a clean test. I somehow doubt it, but let's see how a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth stacks up against, say, like an Arachnarok spider. This is a curiosity thing. So they're anti-large, the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth is, and we'll test them against a cavalry unit too, just for fun. Like a Demigryph with halberds would be a fun test for this. But let's get the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. Let's take a look at him. Looks like a slightly different version of Kolek. Doesn't have the giant hammer, but still coursing with electricity. So the Dragon Ogre is very fast. The Arachnarok Spider is probably pretty quick too, though. 57 to, wow, no, 78, so the Dragon Ogre is considerably faster. The Arachnarok is going to get the benefit of being able to shoot missiles from a distance. So they will start firing. Not a lot of armor on the Dragon Ogre. Heavy armor on the Arachnarok Spider. If we look at weapon strength, it's 380. We'll look at the armor piercing afterwards. 420 on the Dragon Ogre, but much less armor on the Dragon Ogre. The Spider is armor piercing, though, so it's going to be curious to see if all that armor piercing damage really helps whenever you have an unarmored target on the other side. Let's see if either one's getting staggered from their attacks. Not badly. Neither one's really staggering much. It looks like the Spider's getting the better of this engagement because of the armor. The Spider is a very good anti-monster tool. There's very few monsters that stack up well against the Arachnarok Spider. It dishes massive armor-piercing damage. It's poison, so that helps. We killed the greenskin leader. Let's just kind of let him stagger off into the distance. This fight's actually evening out some. The Dragon Ogre does get staggered, and that's probably what's helping the Spider a lot. It's starting to be a little more even, but it looks like the Spider's definitely going to take this one home. I don't really want to kill this guy, because I want to flip the balance bar. So let's see. Yeah, it's starting to be a fairly even fight here. I don't know what started off the difference so much in favor of the Spider, but it's a fairly close fight. I'll let the Orc War Boss charge me. Yeah, this is a pretty close fight here. Let's run away and see if we can make this fight drag out a little bit longer. Yeah, my guy just got hit in the back. I don't want either one of the Lords to die. Is the Orc faster than me? 35. No, he just got charge speed. The Spider's actually wavering now. So the Dragon Ogre turned this around somehow. Huh. That's a pretty impressive result for the Dragon Ogre to be able to take on something like the Spider head-on. They cost pretty much the same. And it wasn't because of the Lord dying, because my Lord's the one routing. So, interesting. Interesting indeed. Let's concede defeat there. So that gives us a little bit of insight into, I think, the Spider, or into the monster killing capabilities. I mean, if it's on par with the Arachnarok Spider, pretty much, I mean, it's a pretty good anti-monster capability. Let's test it out against cavalry. So let's switch back over to, actually, let's switch to the vampires this time. So we're gonna bring just a vampire lord, or let's just bring the well, we'll bring a vampire lord, and we will take away all of his nonsense here and all of his spells. Well, he's not worth much then. So got the vampire lord, and let's throw a unit of blood knights. So blood knights are a pretty powerful anti-large unit, so I think this will be an interesting test for the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. And I may try and test a standard Dragon Ogre against the Blood Knights too. So the Shaggoth costs more. You would expect to see the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth win this battle, but will it? So that's going to be the big question here. What else do y'all want to see me test? What other things are you interested in? Leave me comments about other things you would like to see me kind of play around with. Someone also told me that Foot of Gork is decent versus cavalry. I need to test that out too. I'm going to just charge straight into the Blood Knights. Come on, charge me. Charge me. Charge me, you idiots. Oh my gosh. Well, they finally turned around and charged. Okay, so I'm assuming they'll get at least some charge bonus. And like I said, Blood Knights are a fantastic anti-large unit. And you can see they're doing pretty well. They're doing really well. I think it's just the sheer number of units that the Blood Knights have make it difficult for the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. And they are absolutely cleaning his clock. I know this Lord just got into that engagement, but he's not actually doing anything to the Dragon Ogre. The Blood Knights easily take this one home. So the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth looks like he is better suited to fighting individual targets and not high numbers of units. So I would say the Blood Knights are going to be a fairly effective anti-monster tool in like a single monster. So they seem like that they mop that fight up pretty easy. Let's concede defeat here. And let's see if that match is very different versus a standard Dragon Ogre, since the Dragon Ogres have more unit models. So let's try that. Because, I mean, like I said, Blood Knights are really good cavalry. They can go head-to-head with Demigryphs with halberds, and it's a very close fight, but they can win it. So, like I said, the Blood Knights are definitely one of the most potent cavalry units, probably the most potent cavalry unit out there in terms of anti-large. I'm going to actually wait a little bit so that I can keep their lord out of the fight a little bit better this time. Okay, Blood Knights, let's make sure they're going to charge me and I'll countercharge them. AI does weird stuff like this. Look at their lord just running around here. Please countercharge me. Thank you. Alright, let's see the difference here. So on the charge, Dragon Ogres are getting hurt bad, but the Blood Knights are also getting hurt a lot worse. But see how they kind of get surrounded here with that leftover piece of the Blood Knight unit? This little surrounding here, I think, also plays a role. Combat even. I mean, the charge definitely goes to the Blood Knights, but now the Dragon Ogres are actually tanking out a little bit of damage. I just don't think they can last. So that is definitely a cost-effective performance by the Blood Knights. So Blood Knights appear to be probably the best anti-large unit that I've seen so far in the game. I mean, it's a respectable performance from the Dragon Ogres, but it's, I mean, again, for the cost, the Blood Knights are going to turn out. Plus, think about Invocation and Nahak, or if there's a Necromancer around healing these guys. So Blood Knights are going to be, they're going to just be a very dangerous unit. So I'm going to concede defeat here. Interesting. So Blood Knights appear to be the superior of either Dragon Ogre. And now, just out of curiosity, I want to bring up the greenskins. Let's bring up the greenskins. I'm going to get me a unit. I'm going to get 2 units of Biggins. And then I'm just going to grab a War Boss because I have to have one. Cut the abilities. Let's grab us a Lore the Big Wah here. All we need is Foot of Gork. And let's do some testing against Blood Knights. Let's actually get 2 units of Blood Knights, and I'll increase the amount of infantry I have to block them. I want to try and get a good blobbed up area of Blood Knights. So someone tells me that Foot of Gork does a lot of damage to cavalry because it doesn't toss them around. And they were almost thinking that the infantry that get attacked by Foot of Gork don't get damaged as much because they feel like it's throwing them around and reducing the damage taken. Okay, we don't have much Winds of Magic, so I'm going to have to deploy further back. Foot of Gork takes a pretty considerable amount of Winds of Magic. It's 18 Winds of Magic. And then it's like a full-on 30 if you want to do the overcast version. So Foot of Gork, I'm not really sure why they increased the magic amount so much. It seems a little bit ridiculous. But let's see how good it is. I mean, at 18, if it can stomp out a cavalry unit like Blood Knights, it may well be worth it. We'll see. What's the overcast of this cost? Oh, I still can't afford it. I think it's almost the full-on 30. And we'll have that here momentarily. Blood Knights are kind of working to the flank. Let's just get positioned. All we need to do is just stop their charge and let my Shaman drop his spell unimpeded. Okay. Blood Knights should get a pretty nasty charge. I'm going to do the Overcast Foot of Gork right into these Blood Knights. It's kind of a long spin up. Wow. Wow. That just stomped out the whole dang unit of Blood Knights. Now you can see they took a little bit of damage from the biggins, but it wasn't much. Wow. Did it ever. Holy smokes. Absolutely trampled the Blood Knights. That was nuts. Let's concede defeat. Wow. Man, whoever was saying that about the Foot of Gork wasn't kidding. Maybe mass really does have an impact there, because without pitching them around, that thing really dished out some damage. Now that was the Overcast version. Let's just test the standard version and see what that looks like. We should be able to just forward deploy here. Okay, let's try it. Start the battle. Let's fast forward. Wow, that is to stomp out such a powerful unit like a Blood Knight like that. I mean, yeah, it took every last bit of mana I had, but let's see what happens when we do the standard one. Would it be worth it? Because I mean, like I said, 18 mana to take a Blood Knight off the battlefield. Heck yeah, any day of the week I'll do that. Because Blood Knight's a really, really nice unit that can do a ton of damage. Here we go, Foot of Gork, right in the middle of them. Let's watch it. Woo! Wow, man, it was still a nasty hit. Took him all the way down to like 975. So I mean, that's basically it. I mean, now they could still get Invocation into Heck, but it saves you a lot of mana in your mana pool and makes these guys easier to defeat with like a Boar Biggin. But you can see that caused some pretty significant damage to my own Biggins there too. The Blood Knights got a lot of kills. That was an impressive stomping though. I mean, that was definitely an impressive stomping. These guys are crumbling because of the damage sustained. Like I said, Invocation into Heck can definitely pull that one right back. But I mean, still, I think that's, I don't know, that's kind of proof in the pudding to me that it's worthwhile. So now that makes me, all right, I'm gonna have to do more testing with this one another night. That's all the time I have for now. Tell me what else you want to see tested. And I appreciate the comment that told me about the Foot of Gork. That was interesting. That was interesting. I had no idea. That Foot of Gork does not do much damage versus a lot of infantry, and that is good to know. So definitely appreciate the tip. Hope you all appreciate it too. Thank you, and I will see you all soon.